What's up, nerds? This is Cheshire coming at you with a new deck tech. I can't believe I just said coming at you like I'm some sort of rad, hip YouTuber, but whatever. This is Wrenn and Six for Modern Horizons 1, of course, just released on the weekend, and Wrenn and Six is looking pretty awesome. I wanted a good way to break Wrenn and Six. There's been a lot of chat around what the signature spell should be, but we're going to go with crop rotation, and we are going to get into that in a second. It's basically the basis for the whole deck, sort of, but the deck still runs on its own because it's Gruul weirdness, it's Valakut, and it's combo-tastic. So we got Wrenn and Six, which is 1 red and 1 green for a legendary Planeswalker Wrenn, but it's Wrenn and Six. Planeswalker Wrenn and Six. What? Okay, that's fine. Return up to 1 target land card from your graveyard to your hand, which is really, really exciting because you can just like tutor lands into your discard pile and then get them back. You can use crop rotation and sacrifice a land to go searching for any land you want out of your deck, put that card into your hand, and then use Wrenn and Six to get the land that you sacrificed back. You've always got access to lands, especially utility lands, which is really exciting. Anyway, the second ability is Wrenn and Six deals 1 damage to any target. We don't really care that much about this, to be honest. Like, it's fine. It's fine, but it's not that impactful on the game at large. And then the last thing we get is an emblem with instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard have retrace. This is very interesting and definitely can be built into this deck and other decks like this. It might even be useful for this deck, to be honest, with things like Scapeshift. Yeah, you heard me. But I guess we'll see. Crop rotation, as you may know, is 1 green for an instant. Originally printed in Urza's Saga. My cat's going crazy. Dude, stop it. As an additional cost to cast crop rotation, sack a land, search a library for a land card and put that onto the battlefield, and then shuffle your library. Sounds pretty good, but by itself it's not broken. So what are we going to do? Well, the first thing is we want to try and power out our Planeswalker and get our crop rotation online as early as turn 2, maybe turn 3 if we're unlucky, so that we can like turbo depths. How does that work? Well, we're playing 1 bop, good old Birds of Paradise, 1 green for a creature bird, 0/1 flying, and tap it to add 1 color of mana to your mana pool of any color. We're of course playing an Arbor Elf so that we can untap a target forest. Llanowar Elves, which taps for a green. Pretty elves, I like the elves. We got Veteran Explorer, which when it dies, because we shoot it with Wrenn and Six, surprise, surprise, then we can search our library for 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield. Not tapped, just onto the battlefield. Come on, really. So each player gets to do it, so it's not great, but it's not terrible. Wall of Roots, Bloody Roots, if you know Sepultura. Metal band, don't worry about it. For 1 green and 1 colorless, we get a wall that has put a -0/-1 counter on the Wall of Roots and add a green to your mana pool. You can only use it as a mana source and only once each turn for a 0/5 wall, so it's a good blocker as well. Sakura Tribe Elder. This is 1 colorless and 1 green for a Snake Shaman. Just love that art. Just take it in for a second. Alright, okay, great. Sacrifice Sakura Tribe Elder and search a library for a basic land card and put that card onto the battlefield tapped and then shuffle your library. Last one is, of course, Landfall Cobra. This Lotus Cobra is 1 colorless and 1 green for a creature snake. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So that's pretty cool if we're going to be turboing out stuff. Now, you might be asking, how are we going to kill with this deck and how are we going to get that online by turn 4 or turn 5? Yeah, you heard me. Dark Depths. So, Dark Depths is a legendary snowland. So Dark Depths enters the battlefield with 10 ice counters on it. You can pay 3 and remove an ice counter from Dark Depths, and when it has none, it turns into a Merit Lage. This is a token legendary creature avatar, a 20/20 with flying and indestructible. It's going to be hard for your opponents to remove it off the field unless they exile it, which, I mean, there are exile effects, let's be honest, But by the time this comes online, hopefully your opponents won't even be able to do anything about it. You're probably asking how we break Dark Depths. That's how. Absolutely. You see, Thespian Stage comes into play. Then we pay 2 and we tap it, and it becomes a copy of this land. This has an ETB. This doesn't. It immediately turns into a Merit Lage. And then, if we're really feeling spicy, at some point we're going to Kessig Wolf Run our 2020 and we're going to kill a player straight out of the game. See you later, alligator. No one wants you around. Say that doesn't work though. How else can we break a Gruul deck? Scapeshift! Everyone's favourite as it slips out of my hand. This is 2 colours and 2 green for a sorcery. Sacrifice any number of lands and search your library for that many land cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Of course, using Valakut the Molten Pinnacle. Enters the battlefield tapped, it is a land. Whenever a mountain enters the battlefield under your control. Now, note, a mountain, not a basic mountain, just a mountain, and we'll get there in a second. If you control at least 5 other mountains, you may have Valakut the Molten Pinnacle deal 3 damage to target creature or player. Using Prismatic Omen. So, this is a great enchantment, and this is the heart of the Valakut decks from years of old. This is 1 colourless and 1 green. For an enchantment, lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. Yeah, that's pretty spicy. So, you're basically going to Scapeshift all your lands to get quote-unquote mountains, and then just burn another opponent out of the game. That's 2 of them out of the game. Say we want to slow down the game a little bit. We are running 1 copy of Wasteland and 1 copy of Strip Mine because, ho ho ho, I can ruin your Christmas with my +1. Seems a little good. Moving on to how we're going to be playing extra lands if we want to ramp up to stuff, which we don't need to do, but if we've got Valakut in play and we've got a bunch of lands in our hand, then we can do things like Exploration. We can play an additional land on each of our turns. Explore, we can play an additional land for a sorcery for 1 green and 1 colourless to draw a card. Wayward Swordtooth, 2 colours and a green for Ascend. So if we've got 10 or more permanents, then it gets City's Blessing. And then we can play an additional land on each of our turns. It can't attack or block unless we have the City's Blessing. So it's basically an enchantment until then. Rites of Flourishing helps us draw into bigger and better things. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. Each player may play an additional land on their turns. Courser of Crufix, this is 1 colourless and 2 green for an enchantment creature Centaur. It's a 2/4. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You may play the top card of your library if it's a land. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life. And we've got more ways to gain a little bit of life, and we're going to get to that in a second. Solemn Simulacrum, better known as Sad Robot. I'm so sad and alone. This is 4 colours for an artifact creature golem. When the Solemn Simulacrum enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card and put it on the battlefield tapped and shuffle your library. When it dies, you can draw a card. Here we go. This is why we want to accelerate with landfall triggers. Omnath, Locus of Rage. I'm so angry. This is 3 colours, 2 red and 2 green for a landfall creature. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a 5/5 red and green elemental creature token onto the battlefield. When Omnath, Locus of Rage, or another elemental you control dies, then Omnath deals 3 damage to target creature or player. And another finisher, we've got Multani, Yavamaya's Avatar. This massive Groot green tree is 4 colours and 2 green for a legendary creature elemental avatar 0/0. Reach and trample. Multani's avatar gets Yavamaya's avatar gets +1/+1 for each land you control and each land card in your graveyard. Very important. We can pay 1 green and 1 colours to return 2 lands you control to their owner's hand and then return Multani from your graveyard to your hand, just in case something happens to your Multani. Now, we've got a couple of ways that we can kind of dig for some extra lands just in case. So of course, it's a lands deck. You've got to run Life of the Loam because you're going to be sacking lands. You want to return them. You want to dredge. Then this card does it. Return up to 3 target land cards From your graveyard to your hand, dredge 3. We also have Mulch. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all land cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Harrow, which is, as an additional cost, sacrifice a land. Search your library for 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield and then shuffle your library. Cultivate. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards, put one onto the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand, and then shuffle your library. And of course, Sylvan Scrying, because we can't get enough of land tutors, right? 1 colorless and 1 green, search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. Okay, we're almost at the end. I like sacrificing a bunch of lands to gain a bunch of life, just if we need an out button. But if we're going to do that, we may as well get a whole bunch of more elementals. So, Titania, Protector of Argoth, 3 colors and 2 green, legendary creature elemental. When it enters the battlefield, return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield. When a land you control is put into the graveyard, then you can create a 5/3 green elemental creature token. So, sack all your lands, get an army. Yeah, you may have a Hulk, buddy, but I've got a whole army of 5/3 elementals. Last but not least, Crucible of Worlds allows us to play land cards from our graveyard. Ruminap Excavator also lets us play land cards from our graveyard. And Splendid Reclamation gets all of the land cards from our graveyard and puts them onto the battlefield tapped. That's it. Wrenn and Six, crop rotation. It's gross. Try it out. There's a link down below to a deck list so that you can try out some sample hands and mess around with it. Have some fun. You got some upgrades? List them below. I'm Chechi. Thanks for watching.